Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Snarky Guy, and well, it has been a hot minute, hasn't it? So I'm joined here by Mr. Smokey. That was my mouth. Today I want to share a wild ride. The story of moving from Shanghai to Austin, Texas, USA. With 5 suitcases, 2 backpacks, and 2 cats. So hey, if you like travel stories or you just want to hear how the I ended up with carting a 3-legged cat all the way from China to America, stick around. Mash that subscribe button. Let's back it up a little bit. Late November, my wife and I decided to leave Shanghai and start a new chapter in our lives in Austin, Texas. And let me tell you, moving overseas is no joke.
Welcome to Austin, where the local time is 9:36. Please stay seated with your seatbelt fastened and carry items stowed until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign. 5
suitcases, 2 backpacks, and of course our 2 cats, Mr. Skittles and Mr. Smokey, who had to ride under the seat in carriers on the airplane. The rest of our stuff, it got shipped. In cargo, overseas. They put it on a UPS truck and left it in front of our house in the middle of the rain. Oops. It took about 3 weeks to arrive. The airport was chaos. Here we are, we're trying to drag 5 suitcases, and of course my wife, she can't haul that much, so I'm dragging most everything through the Pudong International Airport. It was like a workout montage gone wrong, fueled by the desire to get where I'm going and about 6 espresso macchiatos to fuel my neurotransmitters. Make them light up like a Macau slot machine, I guess you could say. Security checks, custom forms, smile for the biometric camera. And the cats, God bless their furry souls, they're completely oblivious to the entire journey. They may still think we're in China, actually.
Duh.
They slept the whole 14-hour flight underneath the seats in front of us. Of course, I had absolutely no leg room whatsoever. Bunny, on the other hand, seemed to be having plenty of leg room. Go figure.
How dare you!
But we made it.
Yeah.
I actually want to tell you the story behind that little guy you saw just a minute ago, Smokey. Something that made this journey kind of more interesting and worthwhile and kind of enriched my life altogether. So we're going to jump back in the Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody. June 25th of last year, I was on my way to meet my wife, Bunny, for some coffee. Yes, I'm a coffee file. I love a good coffee. In my classroom in Shanghai, I had enough coffee supplies to rival a small coffee shop. We read books and drank coffee. Actually, the kids read the books, I drank the coffee. So I'm on my way to meet Bunny for some coffee. Ooh, Manor Coffee in Shanghai. If you know it, you know it. And it was raining dogs and cats in Shanghai. In this case, literally. So in Shanghai, when it rains, it's not like the rest of the world. The clouds conspire, they converge, they open up in a deluge on the city and soak everything from Hangzhou halfway to Taipei. And if you don't have an umbrella, you're wet. Just wet. No point looking for cover at that point. Now, Shanghai has about 600 subway stations. That's just how you get around. And as soon as I stepped out, it was just so wet, I was already soaked to the bone. And then I heard it. This faint little desperate meow peering through the downpour. Not really sure why I paid attention to it, but I did. I looked down near the Jiangsu Road metro station and saw him. There's this tiny little black drenched kitten. He's laying on his side in a puddle. He's barely clinging to life. He's laying on there, just cold, merciless. His little body was shivering. His eyes were half closed, kind of glazed over. He's really almost too weak to cry out much at all. People there are just walking past. Their umbrellas are not only shielding them from the rain, but also from this helpless little creature. Nobody did anything. They just pretended they didn't even notice. But I did. Now, I'd like to say I couldn't walk away. But I did. I did walk away. I walked a block away to meet my wife, and every step got heavier. Every step just felt like I had 1,000,000 pounds on each leg. And my heart sank further. This isn't my cat. I didn't know this cat. I see dozens of street cats every day in Shanghai. People set up these small little food stations outside apartments and parks for countless alley cats that roam around the streets of Shanghai, and they live off the goodwill of others. So I see them all the time. And I can't put it into words really, but I was kind of drawn to this little cat. So I ran. I ran back, bunny trailed. I knelt down in the rain and scooped up his little guy. Body was limp. His fur was matted. He was small and fragile, and I wasn't even sure he'd make it. At that moment, I wasn't even really sure he was alive. I could barely feel a heartbeat. I felt his stinky and wet body against me, ruining my shirt in the process. He stank. He stank like moldy fruit. And at that point, I remembered there was a new vet. They had opened up a new high-end, bougie veterinarian's office near my house. It's one of those little creme de la creme sort of places where they take poodles and tutus and they try to get the preferred gender pronouns right on all the animals. They offer you a bottle of wine for a service. Yeah, it was high price, bougie, but it was the nearest place. He was almost dead, and yet he had the fight to meow out. So yeah, I answered his call and I grabbed him. I arrived at the animal hospital and the situation was grim. Now, in China, animal hospitals, they don't typically do charity work. They're there for the buck and not really to help. I mean, again, you got to keep in mind there's just thousands of stray animals around Shanghai. They don't help stray animals. So when some foreigner burst in the middle of a storm with an almost dead cat, they're confused. Why? Why would you do this? Why? And their faces went from confusion to acceptance and the, well, hey, it's your money. And suddenly, there go to work. 3 nurses and 2 doctors spring into action. They just started struggling to save him. Now, at this point, this little guy is severely dehydrated. He's fading fast. He couldn't eat, couldn't drink. They had to administer fluids, but they couldn't even find a way to do it. His body's resisting. They couldn't even find a vein to put him in an IV in him. Eventually, they put an IV into his spine just to get something into him. Over the next hour, the situation just went up and down. It was dire at best. You know, his heart stopped a couple times. They kept on doing chest compressions. And I'm just standing there helpless. I'm not really even sure what to think at this point. You know, I know they're trying to stabilize him, but I'm just kind of looking at my wife, looking at him, and we had no words. They finally stabilized him. They took our information, requested a really large deposit for their services, and I left him overnight. They gave him a 30% chance of surviving the night. I left feeling confused, surreal, just a whole bunch of emotions I can't really explain. I mean, again, it ain't my cat. It's not my cat, not my problem. I already have a cat. I got Mr. Skittles. Hey, let's grab Mr. Skittles. Here's Mr. Skittles. Mr. Skittles has been my partner in crime for the past 12 years. And he and I go way back. Skittles is not a very big cat. He's actually kind of tiny in comparison. You like being on camera? Yeah? Everybody does. Mr. Smokey, on the other hand, whoa, is much bigger. He's at least twice the size and triple the weight. You can see he's got a little bit of a gimpy leg here. There's a permanent break here and in his hip. And on his back, he's got some scars. Can't grow hair here. It's all smoothed over. But he's a good boy. Entirely too curious for his own good. So, the next morning, I got the call. He made it. Oh yeah! Against all odds. They said his heart stopped a couple times in the night and they gave him more emergency resuscitation services, of course. This little fighter pulled through. At that point, they wanted a name.
Say my name.
Kind of knee-jerk gave him the name Smokey. It's kind of a nod to his black grayish fur and, of course, the haze of that rainy night. Or maybe a nod to Smokey Robinson. You choose. But his battle wasn't over. Smokey stayed in that high-end, bougie veterinarian's office for the next week, just slowly regaining strength a little bit at a time. But they kept asking us, do we want to put him down?
No.
Because he couldn't walk.
No!
No. Both his back legs were heavily inflamed. Eventually, one leg returned to normal, but the other never did. He had a break in his ankle. Again, we're not sure if it was because he was hit by a car or he was born that way. The leg, of course, is never healed. It's permanently bent. His hip is raised, and he can only walk on 3 legs at a time. They kept on recommending we amputate the leg because it's highly inflamed bacteria, and I didn't like this idea. More pressing concerns at that point, really, than just amputation, because I was near-death experience laying in the cold water on the side of the road. He had a really terrible bacterial infection. It just ravaged his entire body. I mean, it's left this permanent scar on his back. Can't grow hair there, of course, but he smelled. He really smelled. And if I thought he smelled when I picked him up, he smelled worse now. It was like 2-day-old rotisserie chicken. His skin was breaking. There was fluid and blood coming out. It felt terrible. And the worst part is, after this week-long initial life-saving triage, the veterinarian just collected their money and sent this bleeding cat home with us. So, what the goony goo do you do? The plan had been to try to stabilize him and find a foster home for Smokey. And not sure what else to do, I consulted my regular veterinarian's office, Skittles' doctor. Thankfully, they came up with a treatment plan. He needed daily visits where they would basically remove a lot of the dead skin, treat it with some antibacterial stuff, give him some shots, and then wrap him up. So, all summer long, last summer, every single day, I would load this little cat up in a bread basket. He couldn't walk, so why not? I put him on my electric scooter, and we'd ride to the vet's office. 20 minutes there, an hour and a half treating this little guy, 20 minutes home. Every day. They'd treat him, wrap him up in a cast, complete with a cone of shame, of course, so he couldn't lick himself, and send him home. It was not only time consuming, but it was expensive. The vet bills just started piling up fast. Before you know it, we were in for 18,000 Chinese yuan. That's about 2,500 US dollars. For all his ICU stays, medications, emergency care. Honestly, this is a lot for a stray that wasn't mine. For the first 3 months in our home, we were still posting flyers everywhere to try to get him adopted out. All your social media is talking to people, and we're still trying to find him a home. And little guy he lived in a box. Couldn't walk, couldn't go anywhere, wrapped up like a mummy. And I remember one night, it was a Thursday.
He's not playful yet.
No, right now he's just all stretched out. He's just all in his Lady Godiva pose, like the Titanic. Jack, draw me like one of your French models.
He just started purring. I looked, my wife looked, and it was like a newborn baby. Now, cat purring is nothing new. Skittles has always had a somewhat soft and demure purr.
Don't judge me.
Kind of like a French lady wanting another drink. Smokey, on the other hand, had this visceral, chainsaw, powerful purr, and well, I wasn't prepared for that, especially for such a small little cat. Despite everything that's happened to this little cat, his spirit was unbreakable. And he didn't just survive. He didn't just live. He thrived. Over time, he started to walk. On 3 legs, to be certain. And then he started running. Fast, too. Faster than you would think possible on 3 legs. He had a determination that defied his past. Now, he couldn't jump as high as Skittles. Still can't. There's certain counters on our house he still can't get on. But he was getting bigger, stronger. And eventually, he got bigger than Skittles. Skittles, on the other hand, was not exactly thrilled about the new house guests. When we brought him home, he was quiet, and I was hopeful. I was hopeful Skittles would warm up to him. And at first, chaos. Kerfuffle galore, hisses, swats, and glares at the helpless and immobile kitten. Slowly, he stopped hissing as much. He'd walk a little closer and a little closer. Occasionally walked by, even gave him a little sniff and a little lick, and eventually it turned into something else. Now, every day, WrestleMania with Smokey and Uncle Skittles tumbling around in a playful chaos. They're buddies. You might even say best friends. At some point, I'm not really sure when, we abandoned the idea of adopting him out. I'm not really sure when it happened. Maybe after that first purr, sometime after that. I mean, not only we paid a small fortune in medical bills for him, but he just seemed to belong. I'd like to say we chose him, but that's not entirely true. He chose us. So when we decided to adopt him for good, we faced a new challenge. He was a street cat. He had no medical history, no nothing. So moving Mr. Smokey from Shanghai to USA, it was a whirlwind. So yeah, pro tip, if you happen to be bringing a pair of cats from China to USA, make sure to get all their shot records, import licenses, travel permits, veterinarian records, and pet passports. Yeah, that's a thing. So the immigration personnel completely can ignore them. Completely. Yep. When we arrived in customs, they didn't even look at either of our cats and carriers or nothing. They're still sleeping. I mean, I could have been bringing rattlesnakes into Texas for all they cared, but again, hey, what's one more danger noodle in Austin, right? Let's fast forward to now. Smokey is about a year old, we think. He was about 7 or 8 months old when we found him, or excuse me, about 7 or 8 weeks old when we found him. And now we are assuming he's about a year old. And although one leg still rarely touches the ground, you'd never know he was inches from death. You'd never know he was disabled. Yeah, his berries have been snipped, and it's made him a cuddly little lap cat. He's ready to nuzzle. He's got the makings of a good loyal companion. He follows us around from room to room, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, doesn't matter. He's kind of chatty as well. You know, my wife will say something, and it's almost like he's answering, meow, meow, all the time, giving me commentary that presumably only Skittles can understand. And yeah, some people may not get it. He's disabled. He can't jump as high as Skittles. He's got naked spots on his back above his tail, which is, curiously enough, kind of relaxing to rub. I think he kind of enjoys it too. It's not just about saving the life of a random kitten in a puddle. It's about second chances. Second chances for all of us. It's about the fight against all odds and how a single moment of compassion can change a life. Changed his, changed mine. From this, Smokey and I have a connection that money just can't buy. From a rainy Shanghai street to a cozy home in America, his journey is a reminder that even the darkest storms, miracles can happen. They did happen. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If so, feel free to mash that subscribe button. And now that I'm stateside, yeah, I've got a lot more commentary I can be making about my time in China. Things I couldn't say when I was in China. Now that's a big bagel. Also about my time here in Austin. I'm actually thinking about doing kind of like a whirlwind coffee tour of Austin. It's been like really hard to find a good cup of coffee in Austin. I'm not sure why. So I think Bunny and I are gonna go to a bunch of different local coffee shops. And I think we'll find that cup of coffee. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you next time. Like anything else, stay frosty. Thanks, guys.
And just like that, we've reached the end of the video, which means you now have the opportunity to smash, wham, slam, and wallop that subscribe button. Thus, never again missing another Snarky Guy video. And not too hard now, a keyboard is a terrible thing to waste. Click the bell icon to get notified. Of course, in the meantime, here's a few more Snarky Guy videos because
I know you're gonna dig this.